This episode of the Batify podcast is brought to you in partnership with ministryleague.com. We would love for more people to discover this show, so please rate and review us on iTunes or your podcast provider. Feel free to share on your social media, and please do subscribe. Enjoy. Welcome back for part 2 of our interview with Ava about her and her husband's infertility journey. In this episode, she gives us some practical do's and don'ts when reaching out to those people who may be struggling with a similar issue. We hope that you find this informative and that you enjoy our time together. Specific moments and time, I think the question is, where did you see him at work? Are there specific things that happened where you just went, okay, I got it. You're in this,
Yeah. So I had a good friend at work. She was going through a hard time. It wasn't necessarily the same that I'm going through, but it was when I was trying to rebuild my relationship with God, and I found myself praying for her a lot. And she wasn't a Christian, and just I was praying to have the courage just to talk to her. We talked all the time about worldly things, but I was wanting to share Jesus with her. And I found myself being afraid, and like many people do. And she was getting another job, so I knew my time was running out. And so I was praying, like, let this be the day. And so I walked down to her office, and I was like so nervous. My heart was beating out of my chest. And so I walk in and sit down, and she just turns to me and says, "So tell me about Jesus." What? We had never had any before at all about any religion, really. And I told her, I'm like, I've been praying so hard for you and praying for me to have the courage to bring that up. And she's like, I have full body chills. Like, that has to be God working. And I'm like, it definitely is,
Yeah.
because I don't know if he just was like, Ava's not gonna do it. She ain't got the courage. But he just like took that into his hands, and he's like, I got this. And I think that maybe if I wouldn't have the struggles to go to, we wouldn't have that, human element to bring us together to where we were both struggling. But it's just, it's still crazy to this day just to think. And we're still talking, and we're still working on things, but it just opened a door that I couldn't have opened myself.
That is
Oh,
awesome.
I think you need to start praying over my sermons. So add me to that list. And pray for me to have that kind of courage as well. And that's a nice open invitation to receive. So that's awesome. That's great. It's great.
Yeah.
It's being tapped in.
How's your faith grown? You talked about this already a little bit, your faith growing, and maybe how you've changed. This has brought a change in your life. If you got anything else about that you'd unpack, or even the same question of what do you do differently now every day, but because of the struggle.
Yeah, and I kind of hit on this earlier, but like, I'm embarrassed to say that, like, there was a time where I really didn't want to talk about God. I didn't want to even think about him. I mean, I was still keeping up that facade of like going to church and being the youth minister's daughter and those things, because I didn't want to disrespect my family. But since this has changed, I read the Bible every day, which is not something that I used to do. I pray every day, and it's amazing like how much you learn, how much more you learn like when you're reading because you're interested, not because you're trying to check off a box that, hey, I read my Bible every day, you know. But now I like enjoy reading and studying him.
So have you thought any about the things that have been helpful to you, and the things maybe that haven't been helpful to you? You know, as a church, I think we generally like to help people. We generally like to encourage people. But the problem is sometimes our mouths don't do that. Sometimes they end up doing the opposite. So what things have you heard, or has the church kind of showed up, or people in general showed up that's been helpful, and how have maybe they showed up and it's not been helpful?
Well, I'll tear you down first and then I'll build you back up. But
All right.
don't ask me if I'm gonna have kids or when I'm gonna have kids. Number one, stop asking. I know it's just like the cute little old lady thing to do. Like as soon as you get married, like, oh, we're now gonna have kids. Some people are trying and we just can't. So my response has been whenever God wants me to. And I don't take it personally, you know, I just know that that's something that they're going to say and it's fine. But like during those first few years, it was really tough for me not to just burst into tears. But, you know, I've come to terms with it now, and but that's not helpful at all.
And that's not something you really want to give them the answer to in details either, you know? Like,
Yeah.
anyway,
Right.
it's kind of
Well,
like the answer, do you know what causes that? You know, and you go,
yeah.
yeah, I pretty much do, you know, so that's a hard question for sure.
Yeah, but I try
I
not
will
to.
say, Ava, that you're not the only one that a little old lady has made want to run off crying, because they can be pretty brutal to preachers too. So you're certainly not alone in the critique from little old ladies in the foyer, but nothing obviously on your level. But I've received some pretty hateful criticism, not hateful, but you know what I'm saying, some hurtful criticism as
Yeah.
well. So I can only imagine in something as personal as that. So,
But one thing that is hard for me is most people don't even know that we've been on this journey for 3.5 years. I just recently shared something on Facebook that we were even, you know, struggling with infertility. So a lot of that's on me, that there's not really a clear thing of like, it's okay to tell people or it's not. I've gotten mixed reviews from people that I've told like, oh, well, that's a private issue. You know, you don't need to talk about that. And it's true that it's not anybody's business, but it's also very helpful for me to talk about it, because it's scary to look back and see how far I drifted from God without anybody noticing. And that's probably just because I'm such a good actor, but you know, just being that person who is easy to talk to, I think is some good advice for some members of the church.
I think that's one of the reasons that we have tried to do this podcast is because there's so many of these things like this that are hidden struggles, you know, that somebody's going through, that somebody's dealing with, and they just don't feel like they can share it with people in the church, or just with people in general. And I think that's a very personal decision. You know, there are some people who may say that. I think in the past, things have been very, you know, private, all struggles, you know, you keep your struggles, you know, hidden, you don't. And that's, you know, in the past, in years past, that's been the way it has been. But I think we're getting to understand mental health enough in the recent years that we go, hey, that's probably not the best thing, you know, to keep all these things private. And so I think it's a great thing that you share this, because there's going to be somebody listening. What we hope is with every one of these, there's somebody listening. But I know there's going to be some people listening today that are going to understand exactly where you're at, and this is going to be helpful information for them.
I think that whatever you're comfortable with sharing needs to be shared. We oftentimes get the quote from preachers, the work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. I think that's Philippians 2. Ben, you can correct me on that. I think it's in Philippians.
I think that's right.
And what we forget is that your there is plural, as in, as a church, you are working together. And, we shouldn't be, I remember people going forward at church and being shocked about what they went forward for. And really, that's not the response we're supposed to have. I should know, that there's something going on there. And, and people may be like, well, that's nosy, you shouldn't be. But we're brothers and sisters. There are things that my brothers know about me that I not really want them to share with everybody. And we shouldn't share with everybody. But we should have people that we can confide in, for sure. And, I'm agreeing with Ben there. Our hope in this podcast is that people who are going through similar situations can hear this and go, hey, I'm not alone, and maybe even reach out to some of our guests for help as well. Not that I'm putting that on you there, Ava, but
put it on.
It's a great thing, and we're just so happy to be able to be a part of this.
So what about the building up things?
Yeah.
Build us back up.
So I will say, I went forward back in November, just because it was on my heart so much that I needed prayers for people to be on my side. And so just seeing all the hugs and love and prayers that people are giving me now, I can definitely feel it at work. It was nice on Mother's Day to get a few people that hugged me and told me, or texted me, hugged from a distance, but that they were praying for me, and that they knew that day was going to be hard for me, but that they loved me, and God has a plan, and that was super special, just to, because those people were mothers too, so that day's about them, but they chose to set a part of their day just to think about me.
That's awesome.
Well, I know you got into this a little bit, but we like to be practical. What is something day in, day out that would help encourage you? I know you said text, hugs from afar, and maybe just break it down to some do's and don'ts. I know you talked a little bit about, hey, don't come up and ask me when, we're going to have kids or whatever. Are there some other things that may be out there that may be in the early stages of going through this that you might want to give somebody a heads up and go, hey, this is coming and it's difficult, or maybe ways that you've learned to deal with it?
Yeah. I mean, infertility is nice where you're not going through it completely alone. You have a spouse there, and he's going through his own journey too. And so that the infertility has been the time where me and Dustin have been the closest and the farthest away. But through it all, I have so much respect for him, and how patient he's been with me, even through all the hormone medications where I was not a very nice person. But seeing him grow too has been great. But the biggest thing that I think women who are going through infertility, and men too, is to take care of yourself. Self-care is so important. If you need to unfollow that person who is complaining so much about how they just want to give their kid away, and you're just thinking like, I'll take it, give it to me. If you need to unfollow them for your mental health, do it. Don't feel bad about it. Like, you can mute people for 30 days. I do it all the time. You know, if you need to get that extra massage that month, like, do it. You know, it's $30, and I know fertility treatments are expensive, trust me, but if that is something that's good for you, then it's going to be worth it in the long run. I started journaling, which helps me a lot, just kind of get all my feelings out there instead of bottling it up. And my friends have been so great to let me just rant for hours about everything that I'm going through. So get you a good cheerleading team to be on your side and to be encouraging and love you and pray for you.
So support systems and self-care are huge for that.
Yes. Huge.
I'll put it in the words of one of my favorite television shows: treat yourself. Treat yourself. Now, obviously, there's a limit to that, but you know, every once in a while, whether you're going through something or not, treat yourself. You know, and you know, I can't say enough about my cheerleading team. You know, and I know you've got one. And they might actually, some of them may be there tonight. I don't know with you, but you know, you've got them. You've got that great. What was the devotional divas? Is that right? The Devo divas. Devo divas. You got that crew, and that's awesome. And I think that's the big thing about the church is as many bumps and bruises as she has. I couldn't imagine trying to do this life without them. Ava, you got anything else that you would like to cover, or maybe we didn't touch on that you would like to share with those folks, our friends who are listening?
Just, you know, love yourself and remember that everybody's journey is different. So just because you talk to another couple who is going through the same thing that you're going through, their journey may be different. And, you know, be merciful to yourself. I know that a lot of people blame fertility on the person, but it's not always that simple. It's not always, oh, you need to lose weight and then you'll have a baby, or oh, take this vitamin and you'll have a baby, or whatever, you know, whatever their solution is. It doesn't work for everybody. And your path may be long and it may not be, but just keep your eyes on Jesus, and he'll lead you where you need to be.
And what I've noticed, and this is just me outside looking into a lot of scenarios like this and situations, not just with this, but with all the other topics that we've talked about, is 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, you're going to look back and there's going to be the blessings, regardless of how your journey goes and how your journey ends and all of that. Somewhere along the line, God is using you. And somewhere along the line, God is blessing. And, you know, we can all see it in our journeys that we've shared. You're going to see it in yours. And, you know, whether it's, you know, blessing people in some kind of different way. I've got so many people in my life who have blessed me, you know, some that didn't have children, some that did. And you know, they've turned around and been a blessing in so many different ways to so many different people. So I know with the attitude and the heart and the mindset that you've got, you're going to do that for somebody in some way. You're going to be a huge blessing. And this in and of itself is going to be a huge blessing to the people who are listening. And so I appreciate you being willing to give yourself to God and let him show up and show out, which has kind of become our tagline, I think, for this show, you know, and allowing us and everybody else to see how he's doing that in your life. Hey guys, this is Ben. I wanted to tell you about something that's really exciting right now that's going on. We're doing a Batify 30-day challenge. Many of you have jumped on board with that, but for those that are a part of it, we want to remind you to go to benandtravis.bigcartel.com. That's benandtravis.bigcartel.com, and you can order a t-shirt for that, or you can sign up for the virtual 5K that we're having on July the 4th. And we would love to have as many as possible sign up for these two things. And you can also give some donation if you would like. And all the proceeds, the t-shirts, the virtual 5K, and the donations will be going towards St. Jude. We're encouraging people, if they can, to sign up to raise money for the St. Jude Marathon weekend, which is coming up in December. And if you sign up for that, we'll split those proceeds among all those of our group who sign up and let us know that they're going to do that. You can sign up for the St. Jude Marathon, and when you do that, right now as a hero, I think starting in July, you can just sign up to do the run, but right now you can sign up to raise money for that and automatically become a part of the race. If you do that, then we're going to split the proceeds among all those who sign up, and all of that money anyway goes towards St. Jude. There's no medical bills for those who are at St. Jude, those patients that are there. They pay for the travel expenses. They give food vouchers to them while they're there. They provide housing, and they partner with local businesses to get discounts to restaurants and area attractions. It is an amazing place. Our family has been touched by it, and we're thankful for all that they do and have done for us. And so we just want to give back. And so if you would like to give to that, then you can go and visit benandtravis.bigcartel.com and either get you a t-shirt, sign up for the virtual 5K, or just give a donation, and we'll be happy to get that to St. Jude. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Have a great day.
Just want to take a moment as we get ready to ask the final question to our guests to encourage you, if you are in the market or looking to create your own podcast, to look at Anchor. That's what we use. As you listen, you may be thinking, if these two guys can do it, then anybody can, and that's absolutely true with Anchor. The best part is it's free. There's plenty of creation tools that allow you to record, edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. You can also contact and have your guests on from different locations or right there in the room with you. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. It can be on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
What is your emotional movie / TV moment?
Well, I literally cried everything, so this could be a long list. But like the most recent one, where I just bawled uncontrollably, like I never have before, was in the movie Just Mercy. Have y'all seen that yet?
Mm.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's tough.
So there's a point, it's about like death row, and there's a point where one of the inmates' time has come for his death row journey to end with the electric chair, and I was just crying. We were in a movie theater, and Dustin was just staring at me like, what is happening? And I'm just like, I've never cried like that before. I don't even know how to explain it. Like my whole body was shaking. I couldn't even watch the whole scene, but it was the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life.
What is your most rewatched movie?
This one is because of my sister, but I think I've watched The Lion King a million times just because it was her favorite movie growing up. And so I can probably quote the whole thing, but
Solid choice.
Love it. I could watch it. And also, I think I could watch Remember the Titans every day and be cool with that.
Ava, we're really glad that you have been with us tonight and have just shared your journey, and just appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're glad you were, and just we will continue to pray for you and continue to to pray for us as we all are in this journey of life together, and all of us going through different struggles. But thanks again for being with us. If you get a chance, check out the Devo Divas that Ava is a part of.
Thanks for being with us on this episode of the Batify Podcast. Be sure to download the Ministry League app and get all of our sister podcasts, along with all sorts of great ministry material at facebook.com/Ministry League. Until next time, look for us at the same Batify time, same Batify channel.